Gold glinting in the sun, a grin full of mischief, and that single shining earring, the pirate's most famous look. But what if I told you that earring wasn't about fashion at all? In fact, for pirates, that tiny ring of metal carried superstition, science, and even survival. The truth is, pirates wore earrings for reasons that went far beyond appearance. Each earring had a story, a purpose, and sometimes a curse. Let's begin with the most practical reason: money for a funeral. Pirates lived knowing any voyage could be their last. A single storm, a cannonball, or a rope snap could send them to the depths. So they wore wealth on their bodies, usually a gold or silver ring worth enough to pay for a burial, should their body ever wash ashore. In ports across the Caribbean and Europe, it was tradition. If a sailor's corpse was found with an earring, the finder could take it as payment to give him a proper burial. It was their last insurance policy, a pirate's version of life insurance in a world where banks refused to touch them. That golden earring wasn't vanity, it was preparation for death. But there's another side to it, the superstitious one. To the men of the sea, gold and silver weren't just valuable metals. They were sacred elements. Pirates believed these metals could protect them from evil spirits, calm the wrath of the sea, or even prevent drowning. Some crews would melt down stolen coins and turn them into earrings blessed by a ship's so-called sea priest. Usually an older sailor who mixed folklore with fragments of Christian or pagan faith. The earring, they claimed, kept the ocean from taking your soul. It was common for a pirate to whisper a prayer while piercing his ear. Gold for my grave, silver for my soul, the sea may take me, but never whole. To them, it wasn't jewelry, it was armor for the spirit. And then came the science, or at least what passed for it in the 1700s. Many pirates genuinely believed earrings could improve eyesight. It sounds absurd today, but in that era, people thought precious metals had physical effects on the body. Sailors claimed that by wearing gold or silver close to certain nerve points, they could sharpen vision, a priceless advantage when scanning the horizon for enemy sails. Some even pierced both ears to balance their sight. Others wore copper rings to prevent seasickness, thinking the metal absorbed poisonous humors from the body. And while none of it was true by modern science, the belief gave them confidence, and confidence at sea could be the difference between life and death. There was also a symbolic hierarchy to pirate earrings. The richer or more experienced the sailor, the more ornate the jewelry. A simple brass ring meant a deckhand. A heavy gold hoop? That was a man who had survived something worth bragging about, a shipwreck, a mutiny, or a battle against impossible odds. Each earring told a story. Some marked the pirate's first successful raid, others a fallen brother. One earring might mean, I've crossed the equator. Another, I've survived the Cape of Storms. In a way, those earrings were like medals, except no government awarded them. The sea did, but not every meaning was noble. Some pirates pierced their ears as part of punishment. A mutineer who'd been spared might have his ear pierced with a hot nail to mark him as branded by the crew, a warning never to betray again. Others wore their earrings to mock the highborn officers who despised them, a golden rebellion flaunted in the face of kings and captains. And of course, there was vanity too. Pirates loved to look dangerous. A man with a scar and a shining earring drew attention in every port. It was power, a way to intimidate enemies, seduce allies, and leave an unforgettable mark. Still, what's most fascinating is how one small object carried the entire spirit of piracy. An earring was freedom, defiance, protection, remembrance, all melted into one. It glittered in sunlight like the spark of rebellion itself. When the Royal Navy called them monsters, pirates called themselves brothers of the sea. And those earrings? They were the first and last oath a man made to that brotherhood. He pierced his ear to say, I belong to no king but the ocean. When we picture a pirate, we imagine the wild grin, the weathered face, and that glint of gold hanging from one ear. To most, it looks like simple decoration, a piece of vanity, a flash of stolen treasure. But to the pirates themselves, that small ring of gold carried far deeper meaning. It was superstition, identity, protection, and memory all fused into one circle of metal. The pirate's earring was not just jewelry, it was his story. Many years later, when some pirates retired or disappeared into new lives under false names, they kept the earring as their only reminder of who they had once been. Beneath the calm surface of their new lives, that ring of gold was a quiet rebellion, a symbol of freedom they could never fully bury. It was a whisper of a wilder time when they belonged not to land or law, but to the endless sea. So when you see an old painting of a pirate with a grin and a golden hoop, you're not looking at vanity, You're looking at history written in metal. That earring was a promise that even in death, a pirate would never truly belong to the land. For pirates, the ocean was alive with superstition. Every wave, every gust of wind, every sudden storm carried invisible spirits, forces that could guide or destroy. To survive, pirates turned to symbols of protection. Gold earrings were thought to repel curses and evil spirits. Gold, unlike iron, did not rust or decay, and so it was believed to be pure, uncorrupted by the sea's salt or the devil's touch. Some pirates even carved tiny crosses, stars, or astrological signs into their earrings, believing the symbols would bring divine favor or cosmic luck. These earrings became more than ornaments. They were talismans, guarding the soul from whatever dark powers lurked beneath the waves. But beyond the mystical, the earrings carried deep personal meaning. For many pirates, piercing their ear was a ritual, a mark of achievement. A man might pierce his ear after surviving a deadly storm, conquering a feared ship, or crossing treacherous waters like Cape Horn. Each earring told a story, a chapter of survival and conquest. It was a way of recording life without words. Every ring gleamed with memory, not of wealth, but of endurance. Some pirates believed their earrings had a practical purpose even in death. Gold was valuable, and they hoped that if they died at sea or washed ashore, their earring could pay for a proper burial. Others took the idea further, tying it to ancient myth. The earring would serve as a coin for Charon, the ferryman who carried souls across the river to the afterlife. In this way, the gold earring became a spiritual safeguard, ensuring that even in death, a pirate's journey would not end unmarked. Earrings were also tokens of loyalty and remembrance. A pirate might wear a ring belonging to a fallen brother, melted down and reshaped to carry his memory. In a world where life was short and death came without warning, remembrance was sacred. Wearing a piece of a lost crewmate wasn't just sentimental. It was a declaration that their bond had outlived death itself. Pirates valued brotherhood above all. They shared plunder, pain, and fate. Their earrings, forged from shared battles and shared loss, became symbols of unbreakable unity. In a time when society viewed sailors and pirates as outcasts, these adornments also became marks of identity. Pirates were among the first men to use body jewelry as a statement of who they were, a declaration of defiance and freedom. The golden hoop was their banner, proclaiming that they had sailed further, lived harder, and survived longer than most men ever could. They didn't wear gold to boast. They wore it to remember. So, the next time you see an image of a pirate with that small, shining ring, look beyond the gleam. That gold hoop is not decoration. It's a relic of survival, belief, and defiance. It carries the weight of oceans crossed, storms endured, and lives remembered. It's medicine for the spirit, a charm against death, and a mark of pride all in one. A pirate's earring was a circle without end, just like the sea itself. A silent promise between man and ocean. A symbol that whispered, "I've conquered the sea, and I bear its mark."